In the quiet town of Willowbrook, nestled between a sleepy river and 3 enthusiastic ducks, stood Rosehill Gardens retirement home. It was a place of routine and politeness, where the afternoon tea was always served at exactly 3 p.m. The scones were slightly too dry, and the loudest sound was Mrs. Crenshaw's sneeze, which had once frightened a delivery man into dropping his entire crate of pudding cups. Rosehill was calm, consistent, and ever so slightly dull. Until Tuesday. That was the day when Walter, Wally, Pearson, age 74, decided he'd had enough. Blank. Blank. Chapter 1. The Biscuit Incident. Wally, a retired postman with a fondness for jazz music and loud socks, sat with his best friend Irene Masters at their usual table during tea time. Irene, 72, was sharp-witted, stylish, and wore a necklace with a miniature teacup on it, a fact she reminded people of often. "I think these scones have gotten drier," she said, poking one with her fork. "If I throw it at the wall, we might have a new window." Wally nodded. "They taste like regret and wallpaper paste." Then it happened. Wally reached for a chocolate digestive biscuit, his daily joy, and found none. Just a tiny sign that read, "Due to budget adjustments, chocolate biscuits will now be served only on Fridays. Thank you for your understanding." He stared at the sign as though it had personally insulted his grandmother. "No chocolate biscuits?" he exclaimed. Heads turned. Miss Parker, the librarian, gasped. Mr. Bellows dropped his crossword. Even Irene's teacup necklace gave a tiny sympathetic clink. "This is tyranny," Wally declared. "This is biscuit betrayal. Blank. Blank. Chapter 2. The rebellion begins. That evening, Wally gathered a secret council of the mildly irritated. They met in the craft room under the pretense of making birdhouses. In attendance, Irene, Mr. Singh, who hadn't smiled since 1989, Doris, who owned 42 scarves and was always cold, and Big Ruth, who used to be a gym teacher and still bench-pressed canned peas. "Friends," Wally began, "I propose we take a stand. A gentle, polite, slightly passive-aggressive stand. Are we protesting the biscuits?" Doris asked. "No," said Irene, "we're protesting the lack of biscuits." Wally nodded solemnly. "We demand our chocolate digestives. We demand joy with our tea. We demand dignity." There was a pause. Then Mr. Singh raised a trembling fist. "Viva la biscuit. Blank. Blank. Chapter 3. Operation Sweet Tooth. Their plan was genius. The next afternoon, just before tea time, Big Ruth snuck into the kitchen and replaced the scheduled sugar-free shortbread with hand-bought chocolate biscuits from the local shop. She carried them in her gym bag, which also contained 3 resistance bands and a can of pepper spray, just in case, she said. Meanwhile, Irene distracted the staff by asking complicated questions about how to reprogram the microwave. Doris made protest signs from old cereal boxes, "Bring back our biscuits," and "No chalk. No peace." Wally gave an impromptu speech in the courtyard about biscuit rights, drawing a confused crowd of fellow residents and one very interested cat. When the tea was served, the chocolate biscuits appeared. "Oh my," whispered Miss Parker. A round of applause erupted. Mr. Bellows stood on a chair and sang the national anthem, even though no one had asked him to. That evening, the residents of Rosehill were buzzing with excitement. But the next morning, trouble came. Blank. Blank. Chapter 4. The Management Strikes Back. The head of Resident Services, Ms. Clarissa Penwell, was not amused. She was tall, thin, and wore shoes that made no sound when she walked, much like a villain in a spy film. She summoned Wally to her office, which smelled faintly of disinfectant and mild authority. "Mr. Pearson," she said, "I understand you have a passion for chocolate biscuits." Wally, dressed in a cardigan that said, "Rebel with a Cause, custom made by Irene," nodded proudly. "I do. And I understand you orchestrated yesterday's biscuit disturbance. I prefer the term sweet civil disobedience." Ms. Penwell frowned. "Chocolate biscuits are not within the budget. If this continues, there will be consequences." Wally raised an eyebrow. "Such as?" Ms. Penwell leaned forward. "We'll cancel Wednesday karaoke." Wally gasped. "You wouldn't dare." "I would. It was war. Blank. Underscore. Blank. Chapter 5. The Great Karaoke Standoff. Wally rushed back to his allies. "They're threatening to take karaoke," he cried. Irene stood abruptly, knocking over a bowl of Werther's Originals. "Not on my watch." Big Ruth cracked her knuckles. "Nobody touches my Dancing Queen solo." So they did what any organized, biscuit-deprived seniors would do. They formed a union. The Rosehill Biscuit and Karaoke Preservation Society, RBKPS, was born. They made matching badges. They drafted a petition. They began recruiting. Soon, even the quiet residents joined, like Leonard, who hadn't spoken in months but now muttered, "Biscuits," like a monk in meditation. They launched a biscuit and ballad protest, combining cookie-themed protest songs with dramatic ballads. Their rendition of "We Will Rock You" became "We Want Chalk Too." Ms. Penwell was overwhelmed. She tried banning guitar practice. She tried increasing jigsaw puzzle hours. Nothing worked. Finally, she made a terrible mistake. She told Big Ruth to calm down. Blank. Underscore. Blank. Chapter 6. Victory is Sweet. The next day, a message appeared on every notice board in Rosehill. Announcement. Chocolate biscuits will return on Tuesdays and Fridays. Karaoke is restored. Long live joy. Signed, Clarissa Penwell. Reluctantly, the residents celebrated with a grand tea party. Wally gave a speech titled, "The Right to Crunch." Irene wore a hat shaped like a biscuit. Doris crocheted a banner that said, "We remember the raisins." Ms. Penwell, to her credit, attended with a small plate of biscuits and the tiniest of smiles. It was quite the rebellion, she admitted to Wally. He sipped his tea. "You have no idea what retirees are capable of." She nodded. "Oh, I do now. Blank. Underscore. Blank. Epilogue. Biscuit days forever. From then on, Rosehill became a little livelier. Tea time became a celebration. Music drifted through the halls. Big Ruth taught yoga, mainly stretches and cookie lifts. Irene launched a fashion line for seniors called Elegant and Edible. Wally started a newsletter called The Biscuit Bulletin. And every Tuesday and Friday, without fail, chocolate digestives appeared, along with smiles, laughter, and the occasional off-key version of My Heart Will Go On. Because at Rosehill, rebellion had brought not just better biscuits, but better days. Blank. Underscore. Blank. Meaning of the story. No matter your age, you can stand up for what matters, especially if what matters comes with chocolate.